Welcome to Grampys Lionel Trains. Today on the workbench, we've got a Lionel 247 Blue Stripe Scout locomotive, leaded for the Baltimore, Ohio. I picked this one up at a train show for $10. So the big question is, will it run? These Scout engines were Lionel's more affordable locomotives, but they still came with some nice features like a two-position E-unit, a working smoke unit, and a headlamp. Lionel added ballast weights to help give this engine a little more pulling power. So before we tear into everything, let's put it on the track and see what this little Scout will do. Okay, this locomotive is creeping along, changing directions all by itself. Going forward, going reverse, then forward again. Like there's a little gremlin inside there running the controls. It's pretty creepy, no pun intended. Now you can see the smoke unit is actually working. We're getting a couple of puffs out of the stack, so we know we're getting some power. But if the Scout engine's creeping along and the E-unit keeps cycling like this, it usually means the motor isn't getting steady electrical current. Could be dirty brushes, maybe a loose wire, or a commutator that could just need a good cleaning. First thing I'm going to do is remove the top screw so we can start getting the shell off. Next, I'll take a 1/4-inch nut driver and remove the side rods on both sides. Removing the 2 screws that hold on the front truck. They also secure the front ballast weight on this engine. Lionel added ballast weights for their Scout locomotives to give them a little more traction and stability on the track. And as you can see, this weight is molded right around the shape of the front truck, so everything fits together neatly underneath the locomotive. Now that I removed the motor assembly from the shell and taken out the rear truck, I can start to look things over, checking for any loose wires or any obvious problems. On these Scout engines, everything is fairly simple and easy to access. The smoke unit sits right in the front of the boiler, and the headlamp is actually mounted in the same housing. The heat from the smoke unit warms the wick and the smoke fluid, which gives you those little puffs out of the stack when the engine is running. Looking over the wiring, everything appears to be original, and I always like to keep it intact if possible. These engines were designed pretty simple by Lionel, which is one of the reasons they're still repairable and running around the track 60 years later. As you can see here, the smoke piston is powered by the side rods. As the wheels turn, the side rod pushes the piston up and down, pumping air through the smoke unit and giving those little puffs of smoke right out of the stack. Removing the screw that holds the two-position E unit in so I can take a closer look at the wiring. Everything here appears to be intact and the wires all look original, which is always nice to see on an engine like this. Removing the screw from the armature bearing plate. This screw also holds the grounding wire coming from the smoke unit housing. Once it's out, I can lift the armature bearing plate and take a closer look inside. Looking things over here, you can see the cluster gear is very dry and there's even some debris in it. This engine definitely hasn't been serviced in quite some time. Loosening the screw that holds the smoke unit so I can take a quick look inside the piston housing. Everything seems to be okay. With the 1/4-inch nut driver, I removed the 2 speed nuts so I can take off the brush plate. Looking over at the brush plate, the brushes and the armature, you can see everything's pretty dirty. The brush tubes are dirty as well, and as I push down on the brush, you can see it's getting hung up instead of moving freely. When this happens, the brush can't maintain a good contact with the commutator, which means the motor isn't getting steady electrical current. Lifting out the armature, you can see how dry the gear is. Also some rust starting on the sides, and the face of the commutator has some grooves and worn in it. Removing the headlamp bulb, as you can see it's a 2-pin style bulb. This is a 6-volt bulb, part number 12-300. They're pretty common in these Scout locomotives. Okay, time for the mineral spirits bath. Using a small paintbrush, I start cleaning the face of the armature and also the gears. Then with a pick, I carefully clean out the grooves between the commutator segments. This helps restore good electrical contact. This engine also has a small washer up top for the armature. Make sure it's still there in place and hasn't been lost during the previous cleaning. Next, I'll go over the brush plate. Followed up by the gear train. As you can see, this is all the dirt that came off this engine. With some WD-40, I sprayed over the front and rear truck and let it soak for a while. While cleaning the engine, I found one of the wires to the brush plate is actually broken off at the soldered joint. That would definitely cause a connection that cuts in and out, which can make the motor lose power and the E-unit to cycle erratically like we saw earlier. It's always important to check these connections on these older engines. Giving the face to the armature a second pass with some contact cleaner. More importantly, I'll be cleaning out the inside of the brush tubes. As we saw earlier, the brushes were sticking and not moving freely. When this happens, it causes poor electrical flow through the motor, so it's important to get these tubes as clean as possible. With a 600 grit buffing wheel, I'm lightly polishing the sides of the armature to remove any rust. Using the same 600 grit buffing wheel, I'm lightly polishing the face of the armature to smooth out those grooves on the commutator. Those grooves can interfere with good brush contact, so cleaning them up helps restore proper electrical flow through the motor. You can tell by the wear here, this engine hasn't seen much maintenance over the years. And after cleaning, don't forget to put the armature washer back on. Using a pair of tweezers, I'm removing debris off the cluster gear. As you can see, it almost looks like a small washer. That really makes me wonder if this engine has ever been cleaned or serviced over its lifetime. With some WD-40, I start cleaning the gear plate, followed by the cluster gear, using a toothbrush to help break up the rest of that buildup. And as you can see, more of that packed debris is coming off, and it almost looks like another washer. That's exactly why it's important to clean these gear teeth out. All that dirt gets packed in and can really affect how the motor runs. Using a dental pick, looks like I found what seems to be the third washer caked onto the cluster gear. But it really is just more hardened dirt and old grease. At this point, this gear is going to need detailed cleaning and going through it tooth by tooth to get everything cleared out. As I work through it, you can see all the debris packed in each tooth starting to come loose. Time to see if I can clean up some of that surface rust off the trucks. Using a 120 grit buffing wheel, I'm cleaning the oxidation and buildup off the wheels to help to restore a good electrical ground. With a Q-tip and some contact cleaner, I'm going in and cleaning the contact surfaces off the two-position E-unit, including the sliding contact finger that moves back and forth to change direction. This is an important area to clean because it directly affects the electrical flow, and it's a step that often gets overlooked when servicing these engines. I'll be spending a little time cleaning up the rest of the parts. With the 120 grit buffing wheel, I'll go over the rear truck first, then the front truck, all the wheels with the side rods, and also the crossheads, trying to remove any oxidation or buildup on these parts. This will help clean up and improve any electrical contact when needed. I'll let you watch this process as we get these parts cleaned up. Time to put the engine back together. I'll first start by reinstalling the smoke unit housing, sliding it back over the piston and securing it in place with the screw. Now I'm going to be applying a small amount of silicone grease with PTFE to the cluster gear. Just a light coat is all you need. Then I'll reinstall the armature bearing plate and secure it in place. A little grease goes a long way on these engines. I'll follow that up with a light amount of grease on the rest of the gear train. Then work all the grease in and make sure you wipe off any excess. You only want a thin film here because too much grease will attract dirt and debris, and that can end up causing more problems than it solves. Last but not least, I'm adding a small amount of grease to the armature gear before installing it back into the motor housing. Reinstalling the brushes back into the brush plate. Pressing down to make sure they have good spring tension and move freely in the tubes. Then I'll flip the motor over on its side and use gravity to hold everything in place while I set the brush plate back onto the motor housing. Once that's lined up, I use a 1/4 inch nut driver and tighten down the 2 speed nuts to secure it all together. Using a small flathead screwdriver, I rotate the brushes so the spring lines up with the slot in the brush head for proper contact. You want to add a small drop of oil to the armature. Spin the wheels and work it in, and then make sure you wipe off any excess. Repeat the same process to the other side. On this engine, the drawbar inserts into the bottom of the motor housing. Then I'll slide the shell back on and secure it on the top with the Phillips head screw. Putting the front ballast weight back into the front truck. It only goes in one way. Lining it up, placing it in place, and then lock it down with the 2 Phillips head screws. Lining up the cross heads and installing the side rods, making sure everything's aligned with the front guide bracket. Then securing both sides on with the screws with the 1/4-inch nut driver. Spinning the wheels to make sure everything moves freely. Don't forget to add a drop of oil to the axle bearings. Then spin the wheels to work the oil in. Alright, let's put it on a test track. And there you have it, forward and reverse, working like it should. Not bad for a $10 engine, I'd say it paid off. Now I'd like to hear what you think caused this one not to run properly. Was it the broken wire on the brush plate, dirty brushes sticking in the tube, or all that caked on debris in the gear train causing extra resistance? Or maybe a little bit of everything. Let me know down in the comments what you think the main issue was. I would love to hear from you. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if so, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so you won't miss another upcoming video here at Grampys Lionel Trains. Happy railroading!